Hi there, and thank you for giving me just a few moments of your day. I'm continuing in a series of devotions where we're thinking about our emotions. Now, we all come into this world with a capacity, wired by God with a whole range of emotions. And while our emotions are a colossally wonderful blessing in terms of how they enable us to experience fullness in our lives, they very much operate as a double-edged sword. If, after all, we do not keep our emotions in check, we can experience disastrous results that will ruin our relationships, ruin our reputation, and potentially even bring about for us physical harm. Today I want you to think with me about what is probably the most significant of all of our emotions, and that's love. We are made with a capacity to know, to demonstrate or share, but also then to realize and receive love from other people. Now, there is a sense in which we understand what love is, we know it, but it's also difficult for us many times to describe or define. Now, we live and operate in a society and a culture that is regularly seeking to communicate to us what love is and what is and is not loving. But ultimately, if you're a follower of Jesus, how others or how our culture defines love ought not be of ultimate consequence. What should really matter to us is how the one who made us and wired us with the capacity for love, who had purpose and intentionality in creating us that way, how He defines it. And one of the ways that God defines love for us is to give us some attributes of it so that by having enough descriptives, we're able to identify what is and is not love. And we see those descriptives given to us in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And Paul is being used by God to describe a lot of things about it. That love is patient, that it's kind, that it doesn't envy, that it isn't boastful. But I want you to zero in with me, starting in verse 4 of that chapter, on what he says. He says in verse 6 that love finds no joy in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth. In my estimation, for followers of Jesus, this is where we can most get our experience of love out of bounds. Just a moment ago, I said that our society and culture is regularly seeking to define for us what love is and how it operates. And the picture of love that our culture gives us is one where anyone for whom we feel any measure of affection or concern, we must essentially be their cheerleader, regardless of what they do. We should always be affirming, encouraging, and celebrating what they do. And if we don't, well, at least according to our culture, we are acting in an unloving way. Now, think with me logically through this. If I am someone who is a follower of Jesus and who takes what God has said in His Word and takes my relationship with Him seriously, that is going to have an impact. And one of the ways in which it's going to have an impact is that if I love someone, I do not celebrate if they are making decisions and choices that God has clearly said are out of bounds. Let me just give you some very simple examples. Over the years, I have repeatedly experienced instances where someone I knew decided to live together and be sexually active with someone they were not married to. And in those instances, I shouldn't say, "I'm glad you're happy. I'm happy for you." I shouldn't celebrate that decision and those choices because God has put those choices out of bounds. In other cases, I've witnessed where someone who said they were a follower of Jesus decided to marry someone they knew had no connection with God. And they found it puzzling as to how I couldn't celebrate that. Well, the reason is simple. Celebrating what you do that God says is bad, that's not love. Ultimately, God, if He said something is wrong, it's because to a degree that we could never understand, He knows those things are bad for us. If I love you, why then would I celebrate what is bad for you? It's easy to see if you think about it from a physical standpoint. If I love you or profess to love you, and I see that you are getting ready, for example, to shoot heroin into your body, am I going to celebrate that? No, I'm going to do everything I can to stop you. Why? Because I love you. And love, real love, doesn't rejoice, does not celebrate in those things that are bad, that are harmful, that are not ultimately for our good. Now that begs a question, however. Who gets to define good? Well, the only logical response is the one who knows everything, the one who has made us, the one who has made us with intentionality and purpose, the one who made it possible for us to know and to experience love, and then tells us exactly what it looks like. You know, in your life, there are absolutely people that you love. Make sure, however, that you keep those feelings in check so that while you do not diminish your affection for them, you only rejoice. You only celebrate that which is for their good. This not only can be done, but as followers of Jesus, where the concept of love has gotten so far out of bounds, it must be done. Listen, thank you for spending some of your day with me. Thanks for listening. God bless you. Have a great rest of your day.